Jesus Christ. Hearing Alan speak, I can see some of the attractions that people see initially in genetic engineering. Well, who does not want to eliminate diseases? Who does not want to solve society's ills? Who does not want to make the lives of parents and of children better? But, ladies and gentlemen, fellow speakers and members of the floor, the superficial strength of these arguments makes them all the more dangerous and potentially devastating. So I appeal to each and every one of you, not to take their hand and let them lead you blindly into this brave new world, but to stop, to think and listen for a few minutes and think about what it means to be human and how genetic engineering will play with this. And I'll start by discussing two key misconceptions which lie at the heart of Avnik's argument. The first of these misconceptions is the idea that the life of a disabled person is somehow not worth living, and that it would have been better if they had never been born in the first place. Point of interest. But while someone with, say, Down syndrome will never climb Mount Everest or read the philosophy of Hegel, it is an aberration to say that they cannot lead a happy and valuable life. Yes.
Well, actually, the laws in Germany, which I'm very keen that we should follow, actually say that we should only screen for genetic diseases, and if there's a high chance of miscarriage.
But we are talking about Germany in 2012. We are not talking about Germany in 2011. We are talking about genetic screening for the world as a whole, for all time, not for one specific example. And laws will change, and times will change, and we will change in them. They won't read Hegel, they won't climb Everest, but they can lead a happy and valuable life in overcoming the pain, the dangers, the discrimination that they all face to enjoy the things that they hold most dear. And they can rejoice not just in the pleasures of everyday life, but in the satisfaction of having overcome this ability. A satisfaction that is greater than climbing Everest backwards or writing whole theses on Hegel. And the second misconception that I would like to talk about is that from a utilitarian point of view, the disabled are worth nothing to society. And here I will only say that as a society, we should value individuals, those remarkable things that are not defined by just a few genes, but by an infinitesimally improbable collection of them, combined with their circumstances and combined with their individual will, rather than the absence or presence of just a few characteristics. And here I need only speak of the Paralympic heroes, or the dyslexic scientists, or the blind pianists, all of whom overcame their flawed genetic profile to achieve a state far higher than the banality of everyday perfection. I would also like to outline how genetic screening distorts the whole relationship between parent and child. For if a parent wants a boy, then they can simply abort the girl. If a parent wants someone who shares the love of music, they can simply abort the deaf child. If they want more room in the house, then they can simply abort the genetically obese child. But, ladies and gentlemen, it is a fantasy and it is a fallacy to suggest that it is the role of a parent to create a perfect child. A fallacy that changes the role of the parent from an unconditional lover who sees the children not as an object of their desire, or as a product of their will, or an instrument of their ambition, and appreciates them with a love that asks no question, with a love that stands the test, as the unpredictable gifts that they are. To a Frankenstein-like figure who sees their children as projects which can be moulded, with characteristics that have been plucked from some menu in some god-forsaken genetic supermarket. Ladies and gentlemen, the perils of this genetic screening lie far beyond the womb and into childhood itself. Say, for example, the genetically hearing child is actually tone deaf and takes up rock collecting instead of listening to music. Or say, for example, the boy who has been born a boy to extend his family's progeny becomes a transvestite and starts frequenting gay bars. Say, for example, the genetically thin child discovers the 60 nugget challenge into his genes. And now, ladies and gentlemen, and this distorts the parental-child relationship because as machines replace nature and as parents replace God, then we lose sight of what it really means to be a human being in a quest for a fantasy that can never really exist anyway. And I would now like to talk about how social and political circumstances can combine with genetic screening to make its perils even more dangerous. I will not talk about how people in China or in India can abort their child simply because they're a girl. I will not talk about how 90% of abortions in the USA occur when someone has Down syndrome after having been genetically screened. But what I will talk about, ladies and gentlemen, fellow speakers and members of the floor, is Denmark. For in Denmark, they have introduced a law that says they will use genetic screening to abolish Down syndrome by 2030. And I will repeat that. To abolish Down syndrome by 2030. I mean, it sounds like the bloody digital switch over. Those Danish Hops and Outfits too. Do you eliminate disease by precluding the possibility of the person ever existing? As I said, it is to make a desert and to call it peace. Shouldn't we instead focus on wiping out the discrimination that these people face? A discrimination that genetic screening seeks to abort. And Danish despots. I will remind you that in this century, people have used this kind of genetic selection before. For in 1933, one state passed a law that said all genetic blind, all the genetic deaf, all the physically deformed will be thrown out and put on trial. But now, ladies and gentlemen, in Denmark, a far more liberal society than Nazi Germany, we see these trials not with fully grown men and women who can defend themselves, but with infants who have not even been born, who have never a chance to speak for themselves. We see these trials not presided over by politicians or judges in a court, but by the baby's own mother in a womb. And we see these genetic selections taking place not in every street, in every house, but in every womb of every mother. And I ask you this, ladies and gentlemen, what is the ultimate end of genetic screening? Does it cure diseases? Does it make the choices of parents better? Does it make the lives of the disabled better? No, it doesn't, does it? No, it doesn't. But at the heart of genetic screening, there lies a trio of ideas, of death, of selection and conformity that are completely inimical to the human values of life, of variety and of individuality. Thank you very much.
I actually want to win, so I've got this another one.